With regard to xenophobia, the EFF government will have acted decisively because the attacks we've seen are not justifiable. It's an act of criminality. We must call them for what they are. It's crime. It's crime. Okay, let's say Nigerians are selling drugs. How do we solve that? We solve it by drugs, which is a crime. By selling crime, they commit crime. Do we solve it by committing crime? By murdering? By subjecting people to mob justice and kangaroo courts? You cannot replace crime with crime. You cannot replace a tendency with a tendency. It's an act of crime. One caller says Malema must come to Captain Park and see these Nigerians selling drugs openly. And my response is, it's crime. Report it. The police which are refusing to act, you must report them too. And you can even bring that to the EFF's attention, that this place they sell drugs. And we'll send the SG to go and buy. We'll go and buy SG. Let's see. And the SG buys. And then we'll go to the police that they are selling drugs there. So many people have been coming to report this case, you have not done anything about it. It's a societal, collective responsibility, all of us, to root out crime. To sell drugs is a criminal activity which must be dealt with through law enforcement. There's no any other way. You want the revolution? The revolution that is going to be justifiable is the one that is directed to white monopoly capitalists. Will be there. I'm not going to be part of stoning my own brother, stone an own brother, and then go and steal from the car and say these people are selling drugs, and then you steal things from them, and then I must come and join that. I'm not going to do that. Someone says on Twitter, no, leave this thing, we want you to be president, this thing is going to cause votes. I'm like, you can go with those things for president. I must be a president of thugs, of criminals who beat up people. When you are done with Nigerians, when you are done with Mozambicans and Zimbabweans and Zambians, you are going to go for Shangans from Guyana. I have to stop you now before you come to me. Now some of us can't even talk in your language. They are going to ask us to make certain pronouncements in their language, and we can't pronounce back to the Pope. We are going to be victims. Celebrate and be happy. And say the nonsense you are saying about foreigners and Nigerians. Go on. When they are done, they are coming for you. They are going to say, no, the reason we don't have jobs here is because of these Zulus. They must go back to Natal. We don't have jobs here. It's this Xhosas. They must go back to Eastern Cape. We don't have jobs here. It is this pays here. It is this vendors. Back. Because there will be no foreigner to fight. But poverty will remain. Hunger will remain. The inequality will remain. I said the other time, bring all the buses, let's put all these Nigerians and Zimbabweans in buses, let's take them back, and let's see if you'll get an employment tomorrow. It's a myth. It's the most stupid thing to think of. You are justifying crime, and you give it nice names called xenophobia, Afrophobia. It's crime. It must be dealt with as such. I'm not going to join anyone who beats up an African person. Not part of that mess. I will never even support anyone who wants to stone a white person. It doesn't matter the amount of disagreements we have with them. To come with a stone like this and put on the head of a person is unjustifiable. Not even a white person who has committed genocide here, not even declared, deserve to be stoned with such a brick. You must subject him to a normal process. Let the law take its own course. It is wrong, South Africans, what you are doing. It's bad, it's uncalled for. It's barbaric, it's madness. It is not a Nigerian, it is not a Zimbabwean that killed Winene. It is us, South African men. It is us who are committing violent crimes against our women. The problem is with us. Let's solve it. Where there is crime, crime has got no nationality. Crime has got no color. Crime is crime. It must be punishable. Don't tell me, no, Nigerians must stop selling drugs here. Nigerians must stop selling drugs even in Nigeria. If they are selling drugs. Drugs must not be sold anywhere by anyone. It's a crime. It must be dealt with as such. All my sisters and my brothers in Africa who said will no longer go to South Africa to perform because of this violence, I support them. They've taken a stand. Take a stand, bloody coward. Take a stand. They've taken a stand. All those who refuse to play friendly games with Bafana Bafana, thank you for refusing. Take a stand. Criminals have taken our streets here. They are damaging the good image of South Africa. Take a stand. We will fight crime. It doesn't matter who's doing crime. We'll fight it. We must fight crime. But there is no way of fighting crime through committing crime. We're not part of that mess. Anyone with an EFF t-shirt must play very far from that madness. We're not part of madness. We're part of the solution to the problems confronting our people on the ground. And the immediate solution to that, to the problems that are facing us, is the removal of the ANC and confrontation of white monopoly capital. That's what we need to do. The anger in the continent is justifiable. What do you expect Africans to do? They must give us roses in exchange for beating up with their brothers and sisters, their relatives. If this was done somewhere in Africa against South Africans, we are even worse. We would have done worse than what Africans are doing. You say you don't want Africans to drive trucks. Stupid. You don't even know that these trucks are engaged in cross-border business. They are not necessarily South African trucks. They go all over the continent. No, we don't want them here. If you don't want them here, they are not going to allow South African truck drivers to come into their countries. Therefore, these trucks, even if they are South Africans, they won't have business. Go on, blind fool. Go on and destroy your own economy out of stupidity. You don't want truck drivers who come from other nations. These are cross-border trucks. Ordinarily in that business, you get different nationalities. It's like that. It's like that. So why are you engaged in such stupidity? Please. South African men were made to run in Zambia who are driving trucks now. Because they were told our people are being butchered and beaten in your country. Stop it. If you want the continent to treat you properly, stop what you are doing. Stop it. So we are saying to our fellow African brothers and sisters, it's not all of us. Majority of us, we know that we are not South Africans, we are Africans. There's nothing special about South Africa. There is no South Africa and African continent. We are African continent ourselves. And therefore, we make no apology to side with the victims of xenophobic and Afrophobic attacks, because we see ourselves in them. And therefore, you should please, we know that you're feeling pain. We know that you are angry, but it is not all of us. And we are dealing with that problem here in South Africa. Don't hate all of us. We are with you. We support the positions you have taken as African artists, as recognizable individuals, as sports personalities. We understand your anger and we support it. But please don't brush all of us with the same brush of xenophobia and Afrophobia and self-hatred. We love ourselves in the EFF, and we see Africans as a mirror to show us of how we look like. We see ourselves through those people. And therefore, please find it in your good heart, because Africans, you are good people. Find it in your good heart to forgive us. We are sorry. We are ashamed of ourselves. And we sincerely apologize for this madness. We are sorry. Please don't treat all South Africans the same. We are dealing with these criminal elements who want to project us as people who do not love our own brothers and sisters. Forgive us. We come from a traumatized past, and we are struggling in finding ourselves. We are still in the process of soul searching, and will ultimately one day know that we are part of Africa. Our oppressors, those who have taken away our brains and mind, are the ones who have instilled in us the hatred of our fellow African brothers and sisters. It is not of our own making. We are still working on ourselves, because they've said to us, we are better than Africa, and some amongst us still think exactly like that. We'll soon realize that we are nothing without our continent. We have no any other home except this continent. If things go bad here in South Africa, we will only be received well and properly in other parts of African continent like they did before. It will not be for the first time. The Nigerians opened their gates, Zimbabweans, Mozambicans, Swaziland, Botswana, the Lesotho people, Zambian people, Tanzanian people, Angola, they opened their gates and welcomed us. The people of Lesotho were bombed and killed by apartheid government looking for us. And after those bombings, they never said, hey, we're no longer part of this nonsense. They continued to provide entrance as a frontline state for our guerrillas to come and wage a war against the murderous regime of apartheid. It's our turn now to say thank you to the continent. Instead, we're eating now, and we've forgotten where we come from. You must do a thorough soul searching, South Africans. You will realize that your acts are unacceptable.
Thank you for watching our content. We are changing the narratives of Mother Africa through our videos. Kindly like, share and subscribe on all platforms. Now is the time for Africans to tell their own story.